The time being 6:30 p.m, I call the meeting to order and declare it open. Introduction. Is that echoing or is it just me going mad?
Not much we can do about it right now.
Happened last time. In the event of emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to evacuate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and art gallery buildings. This is the council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anybody permitted to re-enter the building until all clear has been given and the area is deemed safe by authorised personnel. It's twice you've heard that. In the event of evacuation, a member of the council staff will assist any person present with a disability to vacate the building. If nothing else, have a sense of humour. Item 1.1, apology of absence. Mr. CEO, do we have any?
We have none this evening and no one on screen.
Thank you. Item 1.2, live streaming and recording. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at this council meeting, you ensure that you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be made available for administrative purposes. Acknowledgement country, I would like to ask Councillor Deputy Mayor Tammy Greenhouse to conduct an acknowledgement of country.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we come together in the chamber tonight as community leaders, pause to respectfully acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, traditional custodians of this beautiful land we are fortunate to live on, work on and gather on. For thousands of years, the Wiradjuri people have walked these lands, cared for them and shared a deep and unbreakable connection to country. A connection that is not only physical, but spiritual, cultural and generational. Their strength and their care for this land continues to inspire us and remind us of our shared responsibility to protect and honour it for those who will come after us. I pay my deepest respects to Elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people who are with us tonight. Your presence enriches this space and your voices guide our work. As we conduct tonight's meeting, may we do so with open hearts, open minds and a strong commitment to fairness, respect and inclusion, values that sit at the very heart of true community leadership.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that acknowledgement of country. Item 1.4, declarations of interest. Does any councillor wish to declare any conflicts of interest in any matter for consideration at this council meeting tonight? Councillor Peterson.
Just a non-significant declaration regarding item 5.3E. I've been a volunteer and an executive member with the local mountain bike club, but not currently, and feel I can stay in the room and vote.
Thank you. Any others? There being none, we'll move on to 1.5, opening prayer, and we welcome Mr. Khalid Fail from the Orange Islamic Centre to lead us into a prayer.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Mr. Mayor and thank you to all the councillors. Thank you to Orange City Council for your regular support and cooperation to Orange Muslim community.
Thank you, Mr. Tufail.
Rearrange the room.
Councillors, we're now going to open forum. The council meeting will now adjourn to the conduct of open forum. When addressing the council, speakers at the public forum must comply with the Code of Meeting Practice and all other relevant council codes, policies and procedures. Speakers must refrain from engaging in any disorderly conduct, publicly alleging breaches of the council's code of conduct or making other potential defamatory statements. I'll ask that you all respect this chamber and everybody here with us tonight. Councillors, we have 6 registered speakers tonight, and the first one is on item 5.5, extension of Lease Spring Creek Dam, Kinross Wallaroi, and we have Mr. Ben Watt from Kinross Wallaroi School. Mr. Watt, before you begin, I might introduce the councillors to yourself and the rest of the gallery. As we go from my left, we have Councillor Whitten, Deputy Mayor Tammy Greenhalgh, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Power, Councillor Mallard. Other side of the table, we have Councillor Ruddy, Councillor Steadman, Councillor Judge, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Kinghorn and Councillor Peterson. So you have 5 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. My name is Ben Watt and I am the Master in Charge of Rowing at Kinross Wallaroi School. I'm here tonight to respectfully seek your support for the renewal of our lease at Spring Creek Reservoir for a further 21 years. For over 2 decades, our rowing program has had the privilege of operating at Spring Creek under the stewardship of Orange City Council. We are deeply conscious of this responsibility and proud of our record of environmental care, community partnership and respect for this important landscape. Each year, we provide Council with an independent annual environmental management report. Our most recent report for 2024 and 25 confirms 100% compliance with all 68 environmental actions in our approved management plan. There has been no measurable or unreasonable environmental impact from our activities. Water quality has been preserved, water bird diversity and habitat have been safeguarded. Our operations strictly respect exclusion zones designed to protect sensitive areas. Beyond compliance, we see ourselves as true custodians of Spring Creek. On countless occasions, we have acted as first responders in times of emergency and vandalism. Most recently, on the 3rd of March this year, it was our team who first responded to a fire that broke out in the forest surrounding the dam, ensuring that prompt action was taken to protect this special site. Our commitment extends beyond the environment. Kinross Wallaroi Rowing contributes positively to the community and the national sporting landscape. On Tuesday week, 13 of our students and 4 of our staff will depart for London to compete at the Henley Royal Regatta, the most prestigious regatta in the world. They will represent not just our school, but the town of Orange, the Central West region, and what we consider our spiritual home, Spring Creek Reservoir, a place we care for deeply and will always continue to protect. In addition, we are proud to have 4 current Australian under-23 representatives, young athletes who are a direct product of our program and this wonderful facility. Our program not only develops elite athletes, but also strengthens the reputation of Orange and the Central West across Australia and internationally. Our initiatives, such as the Spring Creek Regeneration Project, which received the World Rowing Sustainability Award in 2019, highlight our commitment to restoring and enhancing the natural environment. We also acknowledge and respect the growing use of Spring Creek for recreational fishing and bird watching. We are fully committed to working in partnership with Council to ensure that all activities at the site continue to coexist sustainably and, most importantly, responsibly. In closing, I want to thank the Council sincerely for your ongoing support and partnership. We remain committed to the highest standards of integrity, environmental stewardship and community engagement. We respectfully ask for your support in renewing our lease so that we can continue to care for, protect and contribute to Spring Creek Reservoir and our wider community for many years to come. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. The next speakers, councillors, will be in regards to item 5.3, adoption of integration planning and reporting suit. And our first speaker is Ms. Danielle Ford from Cheney Southers. If you'd like to come forward, Danielle. Go 5 minutes.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors, Mr Waddell, directors and citizens of Orange. My name is Danielle Ford and I'm a director at Cheney Southers Lawyers. I'm also the mother of a now 7-year-old son who has attended the last 2 Rainbow Festivals with me. Since I last stood here on the 5th of March 2024 to speak in favour of the Rainbow Festival, my son and I have attended 2 very successful events. Now I understand that this meeting tonight is not with respect to the Rainbow Festival, but it is with respect to the operational plan and the 2025 to 2029 delivery program and any budget allocation for events such as the Rainbow Festival. Each event that I've attended has been a vibrant, joyful and inclusive celebration that truly reflected the best of Orange. My son still fondly speaks about the first Rainbow Festival event where he saw what he affectionately called the Dragon Queens at Robertson Park. It was truly magical for him and for so many in our community. It was healing, affirming and long overdue. For the abundance of clarity, I support Council contributing funds to an event like the Rainbow Festival, and I urge Council to continue to do so by adopting the 2025-2026 operational plan and the 2025 to 2029 delivery program. I understand that there may be members of our community who take the view that events such as the Rainbow Festival should not be funded by the Council, and to this I say that Council initially allocated $30,000 to support Rainbow Festival last year in 2 events, the Rainbow Walk and Community Gathering and the Pride Party. More than $78,000 was secured through grants, sponsorships and ticket sales. My business was one of the small businesses who contributed to that event. Those sponsorships, grants and ticket sales resulted in the event being delivered under budget with a $3,700 profit. The profit reduced the final cost to Council to $26,300. That contribution is so minor in the context of Council's expenditure. Councillors, I urge you to continue to support events like the Rainbow Festival. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Next speaker on the same topic is Julian Oy. For 5 minutes, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors and council staffs for having me. My name is Julian. I want to speak in support of continued funding for the Rainbow Festival. Firstly, on behalf of the community, I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for another great turnout this year, and what a fantastic job the organizing team has done for this year's Rainbow Festival, so thank you so much. Last year, I was an employee working. This year, I'm lucky to be a stall holder of my own business at both Saturday's event during Rainbow Festival. And I can say without hesitation, it was incredible. A few penny more and I could buy myself a second-hand Subaru. As a business owner, I was thrilled with how well supported it was. The turnout, the energy, the visibility, it was all there. It delivered real outcomes for our local economy, our community, and our sense of connection. In just hosting the second Rainbow Festival in Orange, it was clear this festival had legs. It brought people together, created safe and inclusive space, and sparked something that's grown bigger with each year. Last weekend, I participated as a stall holder in Leeton's Pride Festival. With 8 hours drive return, I made a total sales of $79.80 before cost. They unfortunately didn't have the funding from their local council. And this is why it is important Orange Council continues to support events like this. And might I add, you all should be so proud of yourselves. Orange Council did so well for the community and for Orange as a destination. Win, win, win. But more than what I have highlighted, I am a queer person. This event is deeply personal to me. It's not just a colorful celebration, it's a statement. we belong here, that we are visible, that Orange is a place where everyone, regardless of who they are or who they love, is welcome. And that matters. We deserve to experience life and love fully, equally, without shame and without compromise. Openness may not completely disarm prejudice, but it's a good place to start. I urge the Council to keep investing in events that sends that message loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoy. Our third speaker on the same subject is Kate Beryl. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kate, and I'd like to share a little of our family story with you all. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Mayor and the councillors for this opportunity to speak. As the mother of an adult transgender son and an adult transgender daughter, who were once trans kids, I have to say I've never been more proud of them. I am a proud and supportive ally. They live productive lives, they are courageous, contributing members of their communities, and they do not threaten or coerce children or summons drag queens to do so. At the inaugural Orange Rainbow Festival, they found community, solace and unconditional acceptance. We also attended this year's festival, filled with the same sense of joy, camaraderie and community that the Orange Rainbow Festival represents to the LGBTIQA+ and the wider community. Feelings, emotions and support that are unfortunately absent at some times. Can you imagine living in a town where you thought you were not represented equally? I'm sure you'll all agree that equality for all and a celebration of all of our commonalities and our diversity should be paramount. This event is advantageous for the entire community. It encourages tourists, it encourages awareness, it encourages community and tolerance, but most of all, and I cannot stress this enough, it might just help save a life. We all strive to be accepted in life by our peers and our community, no matter who we are. The ethos of the Rainbow Festival has never failed to facilitate acceptance. The Rainbow Festival is one of the few times when the LGBTIQ+ community feels loved, free and unconditionally accepted. Again, we are counting on council support to prioritise funding this wonderful and very essential event, and I thank council for already having done so. In doing so, you are making a huge positive difference to our quality of life and the lives of many others. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Next speaker on the same subject is Lachlan Drabs.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor and councillors. Orange's LGBT+ community is very elusive. I have often felt like I was alone. Personally, I've been called a fag just for wearing women's shoes one time when I was down the street. I've also been spat on, as have my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend now. Like myself, others are often hidden for their own safety. If you told me 4 years ago that Orange would hold a Rainbow Festival, I would have laughed. Many of my queer friends have left Orange and moved to other places for the chance of finding a community that would accept them. I did not think that, on the day of the first Rainbow Festival, I thought us 20 or so people that first showed up would be it. But from that early rock up to around 10 o'clock, more and more people came. There was over 500 people at that first Rainbow Festival. At that day, I felt seen and accepted, and I was proud of my town and proud to call Orange my home. This is why it is so important to me. I often felt like I'd be just another Rainbow Squad member escaping Orange and finding a better life somewhere in places like Sydney, where I know we'd be accepted and somewhat more safe. For me, being able to see that the Rainbow Festival is in a rural town like Orange changes it. It is amazing to feel like that despite being here, my whole life, I know that change takes time and it's very hard to be LGBT plus in rural towns. But these last 2 years have given me hope. I know I'm not alone, and I wish that this was around when I was younger. And to all my trans, gay, and other queer siblings, all I can say is I wish they too continue to see this grow and flourish. I now feel like I belong in Orange. I want others to experience that sense of belonging community. We are here and we are queer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lachlan. Our final speaker, same issue, is Lee Benson.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors and council staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding the ongoing support of the Rainbow Festival. Orange City Council's support and funding of the Rainbow Festival is extremely important, both the queer and wider community. The festival has the potential to bring thousands of visitors to the city, boosting their local economy and promoting our region. Unfortunately, the Rainbow Festival is regarded by some as controversial ideology. This is factually incorrect. The debate is not about ideology. This debate is literally about identity. If we are honest, it isn't even about funding, as the profit and loss report clearly shows. You might be wondering why this is not ideology, and I can explain that with a few simple questions. What age did you choose to follow your religion or not religion? Childhood, because your parents? In your teens? Maybe your early 20s? Maybe even the last few years? That is ideology. When did you choose to be straight or cisgendered? You don't know? You always were? You didn't choose? That is identity. That's the basic difference between ideology and identity. So why are we even debating this motion? The debate is fundamentally about privilege. It is about one group of people believing another group of people are less deserving of support and inclusion by our council and community. The Rainbow Festival is an incredibly important event. It's actually a life-affirming event. It is an opportunity for those who are often marginalised by family, church or society to be seen, to feel loved and to be accepted as they are. Suicide rate amongst those who identify as queer is above the national average. It's approximately twice the national average. So what is appalling is that it is not because of how we identify. It is caused by other issues. It is usually by direct result of isolation, by harassment and violence that we are subjected to. To say that the Rainbow Festival is life-saving is not an exaggeration, it is a fact. Over the past few years, the far right and the Christo-fascist movements have ramped up their discrimination, hostility and violence against my community. Political gain. These groups want my community to be afraid and to fade into the shadows. It is more important than ever for individuals and organisations to push back against hatred, bigotry, discrimination. As people, we need to progress and advance our communities and society, not regress. Orange City Council are to be commended for their forward thinking, their empathy and for their empowerment of the queer community by supporting this event. If this support was removed, it would cause a great deal of damage to many individuals and the queer community as a whole. It would also fuel the hatred and sense of entitlement, the hate groups conversely causing further damage to many individuals and the queer community. We in the queer community are not trying to turn your kids queer. We are trying to keep queer kids alive. I hope that you vote to keep supporting this wonderful, important event. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lee. Councillors, that concludes the open forum. We'll now resume, and I'll ask Councillor Duffy to provide an update on the developments out at Borrowdale, if you wouldn't mind, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to, I think most of us already know the tragic event that happened at Borrowdale on the Mount, which saw the restaurant itself, or the building itself, burnt to the ground and taken out of the way. But one of the things is that it was started originally by Borry Gartrell. Borry used to be a councillor on this council. Previously, I'll call him a lovable rogue because he's a friend of my family. He's a friend of my wife's family. His whole family have been. He was a generational person of since 1872 of this area here, from Cornwall in England, where they settled out there. I don't know how in the hell he became a social justice member of the Labor Party. I mean, it just got me so surprised out there when you talk about the Cornwall faction. But again, he was also came onto this council when there was a boundary adjustment done by council. But I just want to go, they were orchards all their life, but they gave a lot of innovation into this area here. I mean, Borry started them out in about 1973, he commissioned, and he gradually built it up on that block of land, which was fairly knocked about from being washed away and all those type of things there. And he did a fantastic job. It's got truffles, it's got grapes, it's got cherries, it's got a vast range there and things. And it's also got a helipad there. And it's one of the most iconic places running around this way as far as destinations of our area there. But I also want to say that the three buildings, he brought 3 buildings up from the Sydney Olympics. And 2 of them he uses as accommodation there, and also one happened to be the place where he was going to live, but he made it into a restaurant or the restaurant there, and that's what burnt down. But I just would like to wonder if council would like to encourage his wife Gay and all their families, Borry's immediate family as well, and Andrew and his 2 sisters, and Gay and Louise and her family, to let them know that we are with them, and hopefully the red tape can go through very quickly and we can get this back up on desk, because it's really an iconic thing that's emerged in this area here over a number of years. I mean, grapes aren't new to the area, but something as iconic as what this is, which is naturally grown and evolving all the time, and that's something that Borry did. He evolved it as year after year after year. So I'd just like to think that council could support the family in getting this back on ground, and I think it's quicker it happens, the better, and it's better for Orange, and it's virtually nationally known around the areas where people come here, and I know people land there in helicopters to turn up for the weekend and they're at home. It's just iconic, and it's just sad that it happened, and it employs quite a number of staff, local staff. And we just want to see it getting back up again, and hopefully council can support Cabon Council and getting it back up and operational again as quick as possible.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy, and as neighbours of Cabon Council, where this venue is located, we certainly will make those inquiries and put a hand out for support if we can do that. So thank you for that. Councillors, go to item number 2, Mayoral Minutes. There are no Mayoral Minutes. Let's go to item number 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. It's item 3.1. That meeting was held on the 3rd of June 2025. There's a
Minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Recommendation on page 5, moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion of that item, councillors? Yes, Councillor Noah.
Mayor, just wanted to take the opportunity, noting item 5.2 in those minutes for She Matters mural, to congratulate Councillor Ruddy, Sherelle Moody and everyone who put in the work to bringing that together and installing the mural on Saturday. It was fantastic, thanks to the council staff. I know a number of directors, the CEO, all called through, along with a number of councillors, a huge number of volunteers helping out with it as well. And I've got to say, I've been in the Civic Precinct about 3 times over the last couple of days, couple of times at the library and once to come in here. And every time I've gone and had a look, there are people going and taking that mural in and reflecting on it. And I just think it's already having an important impact in our community. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, I'll show of hands for. Unanimous. Councillors, we'll move to item number 4, notice of motion. Item 4.1, advancing the menstrual equality in Orange. There's a recommendation on page 17. Councillor Ruddy, would you like to move your motion? Seconder?
Happy to second it.
Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Councillor Ruddy.
Yeah, I'll speak to that really quickly. So I'm proud to bring this motion to council. It speaks to something that's often overlooked, menstrual equity. So recently I assume most councillors received correspondence from Share the Dignity inviting Orange City Council to join their Council Cares program. Along with that invitation came some confronting statistics from their national Bloody Big survey, which include local data that's specific to Orange. 65% of respondents in Orange have struggled to afford period products. Over half have missed work because of their period, and 63% have missed sport or physical activity. These aren't just numbers, these are real people in our city who are experiencing disadvantage simply because they menstruate. I want to acknowledge the important work that Council has already done. So we have free period product dispensers in place at the library since August 22 and Gyalang Ganya for around 18 months. These services have been quietly and positively impacting people's lives. Menstrual equity is more than just providing products. It's about creating a safe and supportive environment and educating the community so that menstruation isn't something to be hidden or stigmatised. It is a basic health issue, and treating it as such builds a more inclusive and respectful community. This motion proposes that we explore a reusable period product rebate to help residents access sustainable long-term options like menstrual cups or period underwear. These products can be more cost-effective over time, but the upfront cost can be a barrier. So offering a small rebate is a practical way we can support both individuals and environmentally responsible choices. By joining the Council Cares program and promoting our existing services, expanding access, exploring rebates and supporting education, we're doing what good local government should do, and that's responding to real needs in our community with practical, thoughtful action. Before I finish, I just want to make something really clear. There are women in our community, right here in Orange, who cannot afford period products. That means when their period comes, they're left to manage it without something that most of us would consider a basic necessity. They call in sick to work, they cancel plans, they stay home. They live in silence and shame, and that is simply not good enough. We cannot allow that to continue in our city. These women deserve access, dignity and support so that their period doesn't determine whether they can show up for work, attend school or participate in everyday life. This motion is about taking practical steps to tackle period poverty, and I hope you'll all support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, more than happy to support this. I also received them. So thank you very much for taking this and running with it, Councillor Ruddy. Look, I think something that is becoming more discussed in mainstream society, along with the fact that most medical research, most drug trials are not actually even they're not tested on women because, why would we test it on women? So things like, signs of heart attack, things like that, women's experience are very different to men's. So I think talking I think talking about this, raising awareness and supporting people who are doing it tough. And we all know the cost of living has gone up. And I mean, let's not have a debate about the whole GST on period products things to be with, but I think this is a fantastic thing that we can do to support, to support people who are experiencing menstruation in our community.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Greenhalgh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. First of all, I just want to thank Councillor Ruddy for highlighting such an important issue in our community. Unfortunately, I can't support this in its current form. I want to be very clear that I acknowledge and do not dispute the statistics presented around period poverty, nor the personal and financial challenges this creates for many individuals. Menstrual equality is important, but as a council, we must consider where our core responsibilities lie. A range of agencies and services that support products already is the New South Wales Education Department have supported and provided period products since 2022. Got community health, women's health centres, services, Share the Dignity, Banks, Salvos, Vinnie's, Anglicare, Mission Australia, neighbourhood centres. Our role is to advocate for this like we are, and you congratulated us for doing a great job on that. We're working to a budget and a fiscally responsible budget for our community, one that ensures we continue the services that are well maintained, structure is delivered, and we remain financially sustainable for the future. Again, to provide a rebate for menstrual products, where do we draw the line? Also be expected to provide nappies, products and aids, and other personal care items. The needs that are more appropriately managed through well-funded state and federal health and welfare programs. I'm happy to support any donation drives where we can assist, but if it comes down to a financial matter, I can't support it, I'm sorry.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Not on, Councillor.
It's probably okay to have a look and just see what's going on, what the possibilities are. But I do think that the funding should come from somewhere else if that does happen. So, thanks.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, and thanks, Councillor Ruddy, for bringing the notice of motion. I'm happy to support it. I had also received the email from Share the Dignity, and I'm aware of a number of other councils who have done work in this area. I understand Bathurst Council partnered with Share the Dignity to start dispensing period products from their library. Lane Cove Council is another one where I know Councillor Rochelle Flood in the last term council did work on this. Thanks also for the background information that indicates that our council is already actually doing things in this space. So at the library in Geelungunya, we are already providing free period products. So we're already leading on this and taking action. But yes, as Councillor Kinghorn has just noted, only one item is about the product rebate, and that is to investigate the feasibility of introducing it. I'd like to see that information come back before making a decision about whether we want to spend money on it or not and how we could look at doing it. The other items are things like number 3, exploring opportunities to deliver menstrual health education in partnership with Share the Dignity's Education Hub, and promoting what we're already doing in item number 2, the availability of free period products in council spaces through our excellent communications and engagement team, some of whom are in the room with us tonight. So yeah, I'm very happy for us to make the steps in actual commitments that are in this motion, and then to investigate the parts that it asks for us to investigate and explore. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make a comment that I'll be supporting it as well, basically because the motion is asking to investigate opportunities to expand the services across additional council-managed facilities. Part of that, those investigations, that we would be contacting the Department of Health and Education as well to look at opportunities there. And I thank the councillor for putting the motion forward. Any further discussion? Councillor Peterson?
Yeah, only to thank the councillor Ruddy for this and say that I'm disappointed myself that I was not aware of the free product dispensers at the Library and Community Service Centre. We are making amends by publicising this amongst the medical network in town, and also to say that I'm aware of other areas in town that do offer these services. These products are free of charge in addition to these two. I'm not sure if they are happy for me to say this publicly tonight, but I will inquire and make sure this gets passed on to Council as well.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in agreement with what Councillor Greenhalgh and Councillor Kinghorn have said. But in saying that, I look at what the financial implications are and what the impact is, and it's 0-0. So I don't see any harm in a report coming back to us. It's like one of those situations where Councillor Greenhalgh says, it's we're dealing with health matters. They're not our core issue. It's the same with education matters that come in front of us. It's not our core issue either. So I see no harm in it. As far as I'm concerned, I can just financial resourcing implications nil, policy and governance implication nil. So I don't have a problem with it. It's going to come back to council. We'll deal with it then.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be supporting the motion. The wonderful thing about bringing motions to council is that we're raising concerns from our community, Councillor Ruddy, and you're doing that, and other councillors who aren't aware of those issues and challenges in the community learn something. And I've learned here tonight that there are some concerns in the community around this subject matter, and certainly it raises the education. Councillor Greenhalgh has also given information that I've learned about here tonight that I can share with other community members about what's already available. So I fully support the motion because it's an investigation, and certainly, Mr. Mayor, it highlights the benefits of civil debate and raising motions.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Being none, I put the motion. A show of hands for. Against. 2 against. Thank you very much, councillors. Motion is passed. Councillors, we'll go to item 4.2, notice of motion. 2025 Local Government New South Wales Destination and Visitor Economy Conference held on between the 26th and 28th of May 2025. There's a recommendation on page 19. Councillor Ruddy, would you like to move your motion? Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Greenhalgh.
I'd just like to thank Councillor Ruddy for such a great report. I think it's really important as we go away to these conferences that we come back and we do provide these reports. Thank you. And I think we all learn if we don't get the opportunity to go there. There's quite a few good bits of information there that we can certainly use in our community. So thank you for such a comprehensive report.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Just thanks, Councillor Ruddy, also for the report, as Councillor Greenhalgh has already said, and to note as well that you also provided us with that resource on designing and planning inclusive events at the last meeting, which is another great bit of information sharing. Cheers.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Councillors, let's go to item 4.3, notice of motion, post-conference reporting requirements. There's a recommendation on page 21. Councillor Ruddy, would you like to move your motion? Thank you, Councillor. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Steadman. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Ruddy.
I just want to start by saying this is my last motion for the night, and then I'll be pretty quiet after that. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this motion is quite simple. It proposes that any councillor who attends a council-funded conference or event should be submitting their own individual written report to be included in the council minutes within 2 meetings of returning. From conversations I've had, it seems that it's assumed to already be policy, and technically a version of this already is. The councillor expense and facilities policy requires reporting for interstate, overseas and long-distance intrastate travel. In practice, this hasn't been applied consistently, and I'll be honest, I wasn't even really aware that it was a requirement myself. In the past 8 months since I've been elected, several opportunities have come and gone with very little shared back with the rest of us or the public, and that's a missed opportunity. We all benefit from shared learnings, and more importantly, the public deserves to know what we're gaining from these excursions, particularly where council money is funding them. I'm being quite specific with the wording that I'm using in this motion because, let's be honest, no two people attend a conference and walk away with the same takeaways. That's why I believe individual reports are important. They not only provide individual transparency and accountability, but they ensure that we're actually learning, growing, and bringing something back to improve council's work. Submitting a short report really isn't a big ask when we're spending thousands of dollars per trip, and if a councillor chooses not to submit one, I believe that should be clearly noted in the minutes. Because if there's no intention to share learnings or deliver outcomes for Orange, then we have to ask, why are we going? This isn't about finger pointing, it's about setting a clear, consistent standard and respecting the community that we represent. At this meeting, you'll all have seen that I submitted my own report from the Destination and Visitor Economy Conference. For me, that process was incredibly valuable. It gave me an opportunity to reflect more deeply on what I'd learned and how I could share the knowledge with my colleagues and apply it here at home. These opportunities are a privilege and they're funded by Orange. The least we can do is report back. It's not a big ask, it's just good governance.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank
you. Councillor McDonald first.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Ruddy, for raising this, another great issue. I'm happy to support this. I did have a little bit of a question, but you've actually, in your opening, you've actually addressed it. My question was going to be, do we run the risk of go to the same conference, getting 6 very similar or 5 or 3, however many similar reports? But your point about everyone takes something different away, I think is very valid, and I thank you for that. So you've answered that part of my question. My only thing is about within the 2 ordinary council meetings. I would possibly like a little bit more flexibility that with maybe like within 2 months of their return. But I mean, it's well, things come up. We get busy. I in the past have actually lost my conference paper, all the notes I took, so I then had to able to remember what was done. So I maybe a bit of wiggle room there, but it's not enough to make me not support this. So thank you. I'm happy.
Councillor Kinghorn next.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been to one conference in the time I've been on council, and I quite enjoyed the learning education part of it. I didn't enjoy the politics. I did a report and I asked about this at the time and was told that it was already a thing that Councillor Reg Kidd had arranged several years ago. So just assumed it was a thing as well. What concerns me about this is that you will have some people that don't want to do it, don't want to write a report. So what's the value in the report that the writer doesn't want to write? We don't really want just a box ticking exercise. And what would be the consequences for not writing one? Is it just that it's noted that you haven't written one? The other thing is that at that conference I did go to, which was early in the first term, there were things Councillor Whitten and Councillor Duffy they obviously knew a lot of people there and they were sort of chatting and
networking.
Yeah, I've always been really bad at networking, but it was really interesting to watch people who were really confident and comfortable doing that. And I just wonder if the benefits of those are sometimes things that can't be quantified necessarily, or if it's actually wise to have that quantified, because then it's sort of publicly available information that might show how they're sort of manipulating the system to try and get benefits for Orange. I don't know if that's good to have that in the public realm. So that's the only concern I have about this. I think, generally speaking, I think it's something that people should do because it is nice to get the information and the comprehensive ones that come from that one was quite comprehensive today, and Councillor Greenhouse is always really good with hers, and Councillor McDonnell. But they're just my concerns. I'm not sure how they would be managed. So is somebody able to tell me if this was supported, what would be the consequences for not doing it?
Mr. CEO, I can see you waiting there to answer the question.
once you see how the motion goes. But at the moment, there is no penalty. I think Councillor Rudd was attempting to just reinforce a policy. But I would be speaking for the council.
Yeah. Am I right in that there are some things that are sort of intangible that?
Well, look, I think there are, and I think you make a good point. But despite that, there are still the basics of any conference. There are still the topics in say, a stormwater conference. There are still the technical basics of any conference, together with the things you talk to a minister about, or the connections Councillor Whitten might make with politicians he knows. I think there are always the basics of a report to any conference.
So would some sort of template be?
Oh, we could do that.
You
absolutely.
could do that? Would that?
Usually before a conference, you tend to get the papers for a conference. So, and staff are always there to assist with these reports. Don't make no mistake, staff will help councillors write these reports. So we can help with the basic format, the information, if you will. The lobbying stuff, yeah, I agree with your point. There are things you would not write in a report.
Yeah, well, even that, or you'd want something that's actually going to be useful. And if there's somebody who doesn't want to do it, then how useful will it be?
And often the actual conference, they will provide a précis of a lot of the stuff. So the discipline, I think, when I was talking to Councillor Ruddy about the discipline of going to a conference paid by ratepayers, coming back and sharing information.
Okay, thank you.
Just wondering whether there's an opportunity for the councillors to get together at the completion of the conference, and put their thoughts together and compile one report rather than 7 or 6 would make more sense to me, rather than duplicating. Although we have a different spin on things, I mean, we do have workshops, briefings, things like that. Just wondering why we wouldn't take that opportunity to put that information together and say, well, look, we're all there, and if there's 6 sessions which each council would do a different session and compile one report and agree on the content and just submit one report. We've got 2 months to do it, and rather than different ones. That's just my opinion. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ruddy. Look, I'm fully supportive of this, and to concur with your thoughts, Mr. Mayor, that has been the general practice in my time going to conferences. The mayor of the day has actually said, I'll write the report, so feed everything back into me, so we don't have several reports, but it still
changed.
doesn't.
It's changed.
It's so that's a written policy, by the way. But the other matters about networking, most of that is you it's like life. You figure out what is disclosable and what's not, because none of us can speak on behalf of a minister, and nor would we. And when we're talking to a minister about, it's all about Orange, and it's generally about projects that are underway, or because what we do is we approach the CEO and we say to the CEO, at these functions, what do you want us to bring up? And generally, the CEO has provided a list, or other directors have provided a list that we need to follow up. So most of that stuff, any of those discussions should be transparent, and because they're not going to promise anything officially, right? But they'll talk about it. Thank you for raising that, and I'll take that on notice. And I want you to contact my chief of staff, and I want you to get a report to my chief of staff or something like that, right? So there's definitely no business done on the back of coasters, not anymore, I don't think. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm fully supportive. Yep.
Councillor Greenouch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I have no problems with writing a report. I do agree with your efficiency part. Councillor McDonald and I have done it in the past at women's conferences where I've gone, I'll do day 1, you do day 2. I just don't see the point in overlapping. And I think if you send it out to the group to proofread before we present it to council, you know, if Councillor Ruddy took a different spin on something, she could add her little bit into it as well. I just don't think we need to be creating unnecessary work for all of us doing the same thing. You know, we do need to be accountable, obviously, but I just think if we can work together and be efficient, that's better for everyone. A lot of us do sit on a lot of other committees, so you don't want to deter people from actually going to a conference because they go, shit, I'm going to have to do a 10-page report. So I think it's, we just need to be sensible and be grown adults about it. But I've got no issues with doing a report.
Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a problem with the resolution, but what I have a concern about is that I've never ever voted against anyone, whatever political persuasion or whatever they want to go in against in a conference. I believe when you go away to conference, you pick up 2 or 3 things. Councillor Whitten says your experience gets better and better and better, and you don't really take much notice. I think you learn what's frivolous and what's important. But the other thing is that when councillors go away, they lose quite a bit of money from their job, their employment. I assume that some people in this room are employed on a weekly basis, earning a wage. You forgo that, that's you lose what it is. A lot of other councils, and I say a lot of other councils, when you have a look at our council, our front bench of our council, which I call our front bench, the directors and the CEO, earn quite a substantial amount of money for councillors earn compared to that. But I know through previous councils that I've been involved with and others that I've spoken to, the CEO or the directors give a report back of what actually happens at those conferences, and usually 9 times out of 10 they're saying a lot or learning and have a lot more knowledge to talk about and what the actual councillors do have. But as I said, I'm quite happy to help it. I do believe .6 should be there, as I do believe the senior staff that are there should give a report. So, as I said, when I come home, I've got other jobs to do as well, not only the bus driving buses, but other jobs. And I mightn't have time to sit down. That's why I probably agree with Councillor McDonald's extension of time to put something in. So, it's neither here nor there, as far as I'm concerned.
But Councillor Peterson next.
I support the motion as written. I think it adds value to the time and already invested by the attendee and the cost of the events. Some of the major conferences get some quite good attendance, over half for some time. So I think, having another person, like from my opinion, going doesn't maybe contribute as much to Orange by raising the number further, but a report coming back and allow us to get those benefits. I particularly liked Councillor Greenhouse report last week and Councillor Ruddy's this week. I found them useful and thought-provoking, and I thought this gets up, maybe we could have a standing agenda item of the second council meeting of the month where any reports could be reviewed, and then if you've got any questions that come of them, we might have a slightly quieter meeting to discuss and ask.
Thank you, Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of agree on the way you're thinking in relation to the reporting, as if 4 or 5 of us all go away and then we bring that report back. But I think as what even the motion is, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aspects of that. We could do that, but off the bottom here, we're signed by Councillor Mayor Ruddy. We could have all of those delegates that went there. So really fine-tune it down to a paragraph of what you've got out of it, because reading the report from Councillor Ruddy for the conference that her and I went to, it was simple as that. And so, I actually got exactly what she got from it. So I think without having too many reports coming back to us, because sometimes you look at the paperwork there in front of us now, especially on reports, if we could just put it down to one conference reports back as what the Merrill reports are, just there, and we sign off on the bottom of there. We all agree. I think just keeping it nice and simple, because we could have too many reports. But I do thank Councillor Ruddy for bringing this to our attention too.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. I think some of the issues that have been raised were also things that came to mind for me. I did have thoughts about how we deal with when multiple councillors go to a conference, and particularly things like the ALGA National General Assembly and the LGNSW annual conference, where 6 or 7 councillors sometimes go, and whether we want half a dozen notices of motion on the same thing. But I think, and I did speak to Councillor Ruddy before the meeting, and I think she's clarified in her comments here in the meeting as well what her intention was around that. And I think we can still work with that. People can write
just get us
about their experience, but they could, if we collaborate well, be incorporated into one report or one notice of motion. So I think we can work around that part. I think the the comments about things like networking and about what gets disclosed, but I think that also goes to some things I was thinking of, which is I agree that reports are important, and I'm going to be happy to support this motion, and I think knowledge sharing is important, but I also think you can't write a report from a conference and basically upload all the knowledge that you've gained and everything you've gained from attending the conference and pass that on to everybody completely. You're passing on some of what you've taken and some of the experience, but yes, connections you've built, just overall depth of understanding of things, particularly from things like the ALGA conference and the LGNSW, where you get a really good, better understanding of the issues in the sector, problems, the structural problems with local government, all of those sorts of things. You can get a bit of that into a report, but I don't know that you can get it across. But I still think reports are valuable. I think, want to go to what Councillor McDonnell and Councillor Duffy has also mentioned in terms of the time frame, and I think I might formally ask Councillor Ruddy in a minute if she would accept an amendment on that, because I do think, in addition to the issues Councillor McDonnell talked about, where you just might, you go away for a conference for a week and then you come back and life is hectic, and you've got to catch up on things, and it makes it hard to get things done necessarily within a couple of weeks. There are things like conferences where recordings or slides might be made available, and you actually want to check back on that stuff before you provide a report. I know the housing summit that Mayor Hamling and I went to just before the end of the last term, there was a communique that came out of it, and it was good to have that to write up the report. So I think a couple of months might be a more practical time frame where it allows for those sorts of things and a bit of follow-up to happen, so you can actually provide an even better report, basically, by taking a bit more time with it, waiting for information to come out. So I might ask, would you, Councillor Ruddy, or through you, Mayor, whether Councillor Ruddy be willing to accept an amendment to item 1, maybe to change it to within 4 ordinary council meetings. I think that would make it a 2-month thing.
So,
and the seconder, I can't remember who.
By Councillor Powell?
No, sorry.
I didn't second it.
Oh, you moved it, but she's accepted. That's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but the seconder of the motion needs to accept as well.
Yes, that's which was Edmund. Thank you. I would like to propose a point number 6. Councillor Ruddy would indulge, and that is that the conference reports be based on a template prepared by staff, and that staff attending the conference assist with the preparation of the report.
Sure. Yep. Happy with that.
I was going to say you need a microphone, but you actually don't need a microphone.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
And have it online so we can just enter the information while we're there.
Yeah, it might be electronic. We can work those details out.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to make a comment, I think having a template is a really good idea. I did note back one of my earlier reports, I actually took a lot of time to actually break down, and it was actually the NGA from 2023 to break down exactly how each thing I was reporting on, how that I was going to use those learnings to bring it back. So I think, those of us who in our professions that need to do continuous professional development, part of that is reflecting on what you've learnt anyway to further consolidate your learnings. But I think if it's particularly in terms of the transparency for those in the community who might worry that we go to too many conferences or whatever, or how they might not be relevant, I think having something in that template where you're actually able to comment how that is going to then translate through to either the community itself or what your actions are going to do, follow that up and make it relevant to the community. I think that would be good in that template, that sort of idea.
Thank you. Has everybody spoken now?
It's a question through you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering if the CEO can just enlighten me on point 4 a little bit, since he probably wrote it. No, I'm just probably. Chief Executive Officer to review the councillor expenses and facilities policy and any other relevant documents with a view of amending them to reflect this broader requirement.
Didn't
Mr.
write
Chair,
that.
we've
I
got a
did.
policy
Thank you.
that, as someone said, I think Councillor Kidd bought years ago to reflect this requirement, and it roughly follows this, but we'll just go back and check that policy and make sure we match what you're proposing tonight to that policy, and if necessary, bring it back to you. Nothing sinister, I can guarantee you.
No,
that.
I didn't suggest there was.
No, I wouldn't imagine you would suggest that. But we'll just make sure it's streamlined.
Just like the idea that it's maybe
Can I
changing
close
the
argument?
expenses policy.
No, I assure you, I will correspond with council when I do that dovetailing.
Councillor Riley, would you like to sum up?
Yeah, I just want to close. So firstly, I'd just like to address Councillor Whitten and say I wrote that entire motion all by myself. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Councillor.
Yes.
A couple of things I want to address, Councillor Kinghorn, in regards to consequences. I think, in my opinion, just having that minuted so that the community can be aware of it should they choose to be. They should be able to access that information quite easily to see whether or not councillors are submitting reports and making good use of the time that they are away. I do think that networking is important. Documenting personal conversations probably isn't required, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of opportunities to learn aside from whilst we're there networking, because if we're spending all that money to go, we should be using those learning opportunities. We've got ministers, there's other councils that are speaking, there's keynote speakers. We should be attending those events as well as networking if that's what we want to do, and we should be learning from that. In regards to a comment about 10-page reports, I submitted a very comprehensive report for a 3-day conference, which was 1.5 pages, so I don't know that it would ever get to 10. I think group reports removes the accountability, which is an important part of this motion. It would be pretty easy to do nothing and still be noted as submitting a report by just signing off on the bottom of something else that someone else did. I don't think it's equitable and fair to those of us who do put in a lot of effort on reports that someone else can just slap their name on the bottom of it and be assumed to have bought something back from a conference. I do still genuinely believe there's benefit to individual reports, whether they're more summarised, half a page each, it doesn't have to be much. I think I do agree with Councillor Mallard when he said rather than having individual motions for every single report, it should just go into one motion with the reports in there. I don't see how there's a negative outcome to having multiple reports in the papers. All we have to do is read it. And we're reading hundreds of pages anyway. What's a few more pages? I think that's it. Leave it there.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
That wraps up the debate. Now put the motion. Show of hands for. Yeah, they did accept 6.
Sorry.
6?
Correct.
Yeah. Was accepted. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we go to item number 5, general reports. Councillors 5.1, confirmation minutes from Policy Committee meeting held on the 3rd of July 2025. There's a recommendation on page 22. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Peterson, seconded by Councillor Steadman. Is there any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. Just a typo. The recommendation, 0.7, the minutes of the regional and add. That's it.
Is that a typo or a grammar?
It is not Latin, Mr. Chair. It should be and.
Thank you.
I failed Latin at school, so.
Councillor Mallard.
As did I.
Thanks, Mayor. A tiny correction, page 44 in our papers, minutes of the Services Policy Committee. The final resolution down at the bottom, it hasn't got the correct date inserted. It's got.
What should it be, Councillor?
It's got date 2024, so it should just be 3rd of June 2025.
Thank you.
You.
Any further discussion? Yeah, Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to raise up about the Infrastructure Policy Committee and it's regards to a comment.
Which one, sorry?
It's regards to a comment.
Policy, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Infrastructure.
Thank you, sorry.
Policy, it's mainly looking for assistance from the Director as regards to a lot of traffic. I know we've got signs out on the road saying be careful of animals and be careful of black ice, but the issue of kangaroos going out towards the mines in amongst traffic on a regular basis coming to and from there, I just wonder if we can look at that situation somehow, because I mean I come through there the other day and there was about 8 kangaroos going straight across between both traffic. A few got collected, others didn't, but I don't think because there must be some way we can control that.
From Orange to Blaney.
And
About to
Cabon, is it? Cabon. We'll take it on notice, but this is within our shire as well. Yeah.
Which isn't that far out of town.
We'll look into our part of the deal.
About 8 or 10 in front of the hospital there. They just...
Oh.
It's from TAFE. They come out of the TAFE facility across to the hospital.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 5.2, State of Investments, May 2025. Councillor's recommendation on page 49.
Move the recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Kinghorn. Any discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted, page 51, I just wanted to acknowledge that our portfolio performance has hit the benchmark. And I know it's because interest rates are going down and it's easier to do, but I think that's the first time since I've been here that that's happened. So I thought that was pretty exciting to see.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The two figures that stood out for me was that 86% of our investments are fixed rate term deposits and that 78% of all our assets would mature in the next 12 months. So it's quite a high percentage of term deposits, and I appreciate why such investments are chosen, but I just wanted to ask, is there legislation that forces us to be so term deposit heavy, or is that a conscious choice to reduce the risk but accept the decreased potential return?
Chair, I think it's probably time the CFO moved up to the microphone for the next 2 items, given we've got the budget coming after this. Thank you, John.
Mr. Mayor. Thanks very much, Councillor Peterson. So there are no legislative requirements that impact the investment that Council invests in, and most of that high percentage is a function of our cash flow needs, short-term cash flow needs. So and I guess because we've got large projects as well. Just need to make sure we've got more cash than less available for such events, as well as just our operational needs. That's really why. There's no linkage, there's no legislative requirement. What it is to make sure we can meet our cash flow needs.
If you just stay there, please, Mr. CFO. Any further questions? Councillor Ruddy.
Sorry, quick question. If it's not in a term deposit, cash?
Yeah, there are other, through you, Mr. Mayor, there's other things like bonds available, long-term investments.
Yeah.
Generally, term deposits are the most available product. Bonds do come up from time to time.
Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. And this, I suspect, will be one to take on notice. Page 89, the final page of the report, there's actually a chart that I believe we haven't had in reports before about ADI's funding fossil fuels. Apologies if I have missed that in previous reports, but yeah, interested in it. It's pretty basic, but it suggests we've got 25% of our investments not funding fossil fuels, 75% funding fossil fuels. I suspect, and knowing a bit about things, that a lot of our investments being with big four banks and things like that are probably part of the reason for that. But I guess my first question at this point will be, can we please get any information we've got about how that report is generated and what the assessment criteria are and those sorts of things, so that I can understand it a bit better, and then we can think about what we do with it from there. Thanks.
We'll take that on notice, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on state investments? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Councillors, we go to item 5.3, adoption, integrated planning and reporting, community strategic plan 25 to 2035, delivery program 25 to 29, operation plan and resourcing strategy 2025 to 2026, including long-term financial plan, budget, fees and charges, workforce management strategy and asset management strategy. Councillors, there's the recommendations on page 92, 93, 94. Please, councillors, please note that the second number 6 and 7 in the recommendation, part 1 recommends that the items be heard in seriatim. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Okay. I might ask Councillor Peterson if he would like to lead the discussion.
Of course.
Being Chair of Finance, Councillor Peterson.
Thank you. And Council should be proud of this balanced budget. It doesn't happen without effort, and I acknowledge the staff efforts to make this happen. Only aware of the financial headwinds approaching with increased costs and decreased support likely from other levels of government. The $35 million asset renewal backlog is appropriate to highlight amongst the other medium-term threats our responsibility to manage. Certainly remember the first briefing that we had about this as a council and just the unanimous support around the table for us to have a balanced budget, and it was one of my prouder moments of being part of this group. Thank you and look forward to the discussion to come.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. So we need to vote on seriatim. Can I show of hands? Unanimous. We now deal with items in part 2 separately. Item 2.1, sorry, 2.A. Any discussion with regard to this item?
I've got a question, but do you need a mover and a seconder first? Just to...
For each one, we need a mover and a
Yes.
seconder, and these are to include them in the budget.
Okay, so we've got a mover by Councillor Peterson. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh for item 2.A. Discussion. You had a question, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And it's not about the expenditure, which I'm happy to support, but I note we've got an offset listed for a number of items as the efficiency dividend, and a note down at the bottom of page 92, the explanation there, operational savings garnished from materials and contracts within divisional budgets over the financial year. I would just like to ask through you, Mayor, just for the avoidance of doubt, can we get confirmation that that means there would be no implications from the efficiency dividend for staffing? I know we've implemented things like pauses on new positions and hiring freezes before. I'd just like to be assured this isn't going to lead to job cuts or hiring freezes or things like that.
No, I can confirm it will not be in that form. We will find from each division savings in the form of materials and contracts, which won't be staff cuts.
Thank you. In that case, I'm very happy to support the idea of the efficiency dividend as an offset.
Thank you. Any further discussion on 2A? There being none, I'll put the item. Show of hands for. Unanimous. I'll have a look at item 2.B. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Greenhalgh, seconded by Councillor Judge. Any discussion on this item? There being none, I'll put it. Show of hands for it. The motion. Unanimous. Item 2C. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Duffy.
I move it. Yep.
Moved by Councillor Duffy. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm not happy to support this one. We did discuss this recently. I haven't received any further information that shows that we'd get any value for money from the additional 10,000. With other member councils not ponying up to it as well. Can't see we already paid just under 10,000 for membership to this group. I don't think that this is value for money. Like I said, haven't received any further information that would improve the information provided at the 3rd of June council meeting. So I'm not happy to support this.
I would, I'd like to propose an amendment, if I can get a seconder, and that be that item number 2C be deferred for a period of 3 months as councillors. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor McDonald. The reason I say that is I don't think that the MERC have had an opportunity to provide information which councillors require to make an informed decision. I do have some concerns that the interest in it isn't as strong as what it could be at this point of time, and that's based on the fact that there hasn't been some discussions which could take place. I know that the deputy of MERC, her council, isn't pursuing it, and so that causes me some concern. But I don't want to kick it down the road at this point of time. I'd like the opportunity for it to come back in 3 months once the government have had an opportunity to give their budget. What I also haven't seen here is any representation made to the Treasurer, find out what they're doing with regards to this funding. So I would like the government, as a matter of fairness, to have the opportunity to respond rather than council, provide $10,000 for something which we're not sure what it's going to be spent on at this point of time. So, councils, I would ask that that we defer this one for 3 months and then revisit it when we've had the opportunity to obtain more information to make an informed decision. Councillor Whitten.
Mr Mayor, look, I'll speak in favour of the deferral for the simple reason I don't think we should be using ratepayers' funds for a marketing campaign to go after the state government. We have better ways of speaking to ministerial and treasury to put our case forward rather than using funding. And that's my understanding, is that this money is going to be used for a marketing campaign. That were the words used in the last motion. So I think there's better ways of approaching this subject with the government rather than trying to use ratepayer funds to embarrass the government into making a decision, which they won't. They're going to make a decision based on the benefits of the whole state.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm going to speak against the amendment because I think it's something we should put in the budget. But I want to refer to you, Mr Mayor, and you, Mr CEO. The document there was given to our council on the 25th of March, 2 months ago. It came via over email, and I've checked the emails. I've asked the CEO of MERC to check the emails. I've gone there. Now, the CEO of MERC is an employee of the local MLC for our area, Mr Stephen Lawrence, or MLC, Stephen Lawrence, the MP. He's there. This document here gives you the process of the win-win and loss-loss situation of those people doing that campaign. But in the campaign talks about us having discussions with the Premier, having discussions with the Treasurer, having discussions with the various ministers and those type of things there. Look, Resources for Regions is gone. As I said, plenty of time it's gone, but we have to go down the pathway of getting some of that community chest. Now, I have spoken with the Mayor of Forbes. I rang her after our conversation, and I was going to hold this up so you can have a look at it. So I think it should have been with the report that came last time. Now, Mayor of Forbes was against it because the councillor, or the council that put forward through Blaney Council, left Forbes out. Forbes out of the equation because they weren't part of Resources for Regions. Resources for Regions is not coming back. We've been clearly told by Courtney Hughes, the MP, and those it's not coming back. We are endeavouring to get a community chest fund there, which is very similar to the 450 million that goes there. We want a percentage of that. And we are very confident that we can do that without even going down the pathway of receiving any funds to operate a campaign, because we do believe with the Hunter Caucus and our local MPs out here and Roy Butler up at Barwon and those type of things, and our MLCs, we will have a huge chance of not having have a battle with the government. We just want something. And I'll give an example. I want you to go, anyone here, go for a drive out to the back entrance of the mine and have a look at the road that you've got B-doubles going on the roads that affect our traffic. Morris, there's about 400 cars go out there every day. It is absolute disgrace. And that's where resources from regions is coming from, the royalties from mines. It's going into the government coffers, into it's going into general revenue, and it's going into general revenue, and it's being spent elsewhere.
Schools and hospitals.
We've been screwed in the bush. Some governments don't really worry about the bush. I mean, they know where they're going to fall. As far as politically goes, they know what they're going to happen. But again, I say we're not going down that pathway. As I said, we've got a staff member of an MLC putting in place now a consultation process with the Premier, the Treasurer, and a number of councillors, a number of MPs who you obviously have met. And we hope to get a result for that over the next period of months. In that document there, it gives a time frame, but it's not. You might remember that when this document came with the minutes of the meetings, which we have every time we have a meeting come to council, I said they weren't endorsed yet. At our meeting the other week, we did speak about that. And again, I'll go back to you, Mr. Mayor. This was given to our council on the 25th of March. Now, I gave a resolution to this council about 8 days before the council cut-off line was. We had to give 10 days, okay? Well, we had plenty of time to put this document to go to all councillors.
Councillor Duffy, are you able to indicate when council could expect a rigid document then?
Sorry?
When could council expect a rigid document where we can make an informed decision?
I suppose as we're meeting with these ministers over the next period of months, the next couple of months. I'm not fussed with either resolution. I think we should put it in the budget and have it there. We don't have to use it. We could put it somewhere else. And it's neither here nor there. What worries me is the reports that are coming out of this council from staff that aren't quite up to standard. I'm talking about the report that came about with the Flying Doctor. I'm talking about the other reports. I'm talking about this one being available. I'm talking about all those things there. So I'm very concerned. If you want to interrupt me anytime you like. But the fact is, this was given to us 2 months ago and it never surfaced.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I think the reason why I asked for a deferment, because as you'd be aware, being a former Chair of Finance, we have quarterly reviews. And by putting it over for 3 months, it can be put in the budget further down the track, should the information be obtained, which would satisfy councillors that was money well spent. Councillor McDonald.
Look, I'm speaking in favour of the amendment. I thank Councillor Duffy for his passionate advocacy on this, but I'm a little bit confused because it just sounds as though what has just been said was an argument that the 10,000 wasn't needed anyway. And this came from a notice of motion presented by the councillor without any backing up, no supportive evidence whatsoever. So that would have been the time for the councillor to provide that document, I would have thought, to councillors rather than wait until now and accuse staff of not doing reports properly. I think that's leaves a bad taste, quite frankly. So I'm more than happy to support the amendment. As you mentioned, quarterly review, you can review it then. It's a tight budget, we all know that. So let's defer it for 3 months and allow a report to come back from Merck and from the government and see where we're at.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? Okay, I'll put the amendment. Show of hands for. Against? 3 against. Thank you. The amendment comes a motion. Show of hands for the motion. Eight for, 2 against.
And
Thank you. Councillor, we go to item 2.D. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Peterson, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 2E. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Mallard. We've got... No, there's the next one.
I'll second.
Yep, moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? Councillor Judge.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I've just got a question for the director, if I could, please.
Miss Director Maunder is making his way.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What are the benefits, Director, for council for doing it this way, for handing it over to the Mountain Bike Club?
Excuse me. Through you, Mr. Mayor. It comes from a request direct from the club. We had a meeting with them because their lease is expired on that block of land and they're seeking to renew it and to operate the mountain bike track there. They said it is beyond their current resources to maintain that track. If the lease were renewed, they would need some assistance to maintain the track, the mountain bike track. When I asked which was the better way to do it, they felt so either council does it, for the two options, we do it, and we pay for it through our salaries and wages, etc., or which is a cost to council, or we provide the funding to them. They felt that they would get better outcomes if they managed that element of the track themselves. So that was their preference. So that's why it's before council. If it's not maintained, then it would go away as an asset, and I'm not sure, they didn't say it, but I'm not sure that they'd be willing to take on the lease at that site without some assistance for maintenance, but that was certainly the feeling I got, but I didn't ask them outright.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Greenhouse, you have a question to the Director?
Can I just have a question as well? How long is that lease for?
Through you, Mr. Chair, 5 years is my understanding.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you. Councillors, go to item 2.F. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor Kinghorn. Any discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the wording and just to understand this is for the Mayor to be laying a wreath at Anzac Day, that sort of thing. Is that what's not just for birthday flowers for the Mayor? Just checking.
You are proposing an amendment to the motion, Councillor.
Thank you. Just clarify.
I don't think the amount is enough when you consider the effort we go. I mean, we have ministers come here. There's nothing wrong with giving some of them a bunch of flowers, and nothing wrong with giving a wreath for the Anzac Day and any of those things. So they cost a good deal of money, and I really don't think it's enough. That's just my question.
I just asked the CEO for a comment on that. I'm assuming it's something in the policy.
Well, what we did, Councillor Duffy, was take the amount we spent last year and just put that in again. So it's enough for the moment, but I take your point.
Yeah.
We'll keep a track on it. Let you know in a quarterly review if we need more.
Just as a further comment, we've had a number of ministers in this area that a bunch of flowers would have been an appropriate thing.
Councillor Duffy.
Yeah.
Nice. Any further discussion? No further discussion? I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 2.G. Can I have a mover? A seconder, moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Mallard?
Just thanks to the staff for picking up the error. I know it's a massive, complicated task pulling this budget together, and to only be out by that much is actually pretty solid work.
Thank you, Councillor, and I totally agree. Okay, being no further discussions, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item number 2H. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Peterson, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the item. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 2I. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kinghorn, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? Being no discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 2J. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion and show of hands for. Unanimous.
Always move the stuff that's going to cost nothing.
Item 2K. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Greenhout, seconded by Councillor Judge. Any discussion? Being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 2L.
Move the motion. Mr.
Moved
Mayor.
by Councillor Whitten,
Second it.
seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Greatly appreciated. Part 3. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor McDonald. I'll put the motion, a show of hands for. Unanimous. So, item number 4, part 4. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Is there any discussion regarding part 4? The recommendation there? Councillor Peterson?
I guess this is probably a good time to ask 3 questions on the fees and charges document. Got them? So the first one on page 344, I note that not-for-profit hire of the Naylor Pavilion has gone from $0 to a cost of $427. Wondered why that change was done.
Mr. CEO?
Yes, we've got some answers here. Naylor Pavilion, those charges have gone up and they reflect the cost to council for cleaning and rubbish management. For South Court Amphitheatre, the same can be said. Or did you ask that yet?
No, not yet. I've sent the questions in advance, but yes, the second point, which I think you probably answered, was fees for non-for-profits using the South Court have doubled.
And that's for cleaning and rubbish management. Yes, sorry, I grouped those two together.
And then the last question for fees and charges, page 378, I wanted to know if the NDIA fees covering the cost of the support independent living actually covered the cost of the service, or if it doesn't, which I thought it doesn't, what's the sort of contribution for the general fund for to fund us providing supported independent living?
And the answer from the director was that yes, they cover our costs for the service, nil contribution from council.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. I'll put the motion in, a show of hands for. Unanimous. Item part 5. Have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Part 6. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Steadman. Any discussion? Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Here's your question directed at Councillor.
Sorry? Yeah, got a few questions on the multiple documents that are there. Might break them into document. So on the delivery program and the operational plan, I just wanted to clarify on page 146 what the budget for the Orange Regional Gallery was, because the same figure's listed multiple times. I wasn't sure if that was one overall or if it is $2.5 million when added together.
Mr. CEO, would you like to take the question?
I will, and thanks for these questions, Councillor, and the time for us to answer them. The annual budget for the gallery is $1.78 million, but that includes $634,000 for depreciation.
And I suppose going on from there, so the gallery was $1.78 million. How about the museum and the theatre?
The museum is $1.12 million, including $224,000 for depreciation. The theatre is $1.3 million, including $363,000 for depreciation.
I wanted to ask in 190, and I think Director Greenham has sadly busted my hopes with this. Wanted to confirm that a new roundabout in the Escort Way and Ploughman's Lane was planned for this financial year without $250,000 budget.
Would you like to bust his hopes in person, or shall I read your answers? Okay, thank you. So the question is, the new roundabout Escort Way and Ploughman's, was it planned for this financial year? The answer is this is a carryover amount of $250,000, and construction of a new roundabout will be heavily dependent on grant funding and Transport for New South Wales support. Where we left this one was following a works authorisation deed from Transport for New South Wales. A compliant Austroads design was developed and land acquired 2 council terms ago. Design staff from Transport for New South Wales, when reviewing the design, initially wanted a larger roundabout radius than the Austroads design. And when this was problematic due to drainage issues and additional land requirements, Transport for New South Wales switched to traffic lights as their preferred solution. Traffic lights are not Council's preferred solution. I think we have what is called an impasse.
Thank you. The only other one on that document, page 190, I saw there was a fair amount of money for new cycleways. I was quite excited about this and wanted to know where they were going.
And the answer is that the new active travel plan is being done, and the pathways will follow on from that. As you know, there's consultation going on around that. Noting, of course, the new Ploughman's Lane pathway with lights is popular, is an absolute cracker, having ridden it myself the other day.
I wanted to ask a couple of questions on the asset management strategy. Page 206, the second section of Value 1, might be misinterpreting it, but are we spending $1.1 million on trees?
I think I'll throw to the CFO here because these answers get rather lengthy. John, have you got your answers prepared for this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And
I'm not the mayor, though, yet.
Next career.
You see, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to answer your question, Councillor Peterson, it seemingly is a lot of money, but you think about the 10-year average is around about that 1.1. At the moment, we're spending in the high 800s, 800,000s through to about 1.2 million over that 10-year period. This is pretty normal cost to Orange. You know, we being a colour city, you know, there are lots of deciduous trees, lots of parklands. That's just, you know, a larger expense to this council than perhaps others. And, you know, that requires a lot of maintenance, and there's a lot of things like cherry pickers, tools, equipment, mulching equipment. You know, labour is a big component, and you've got fertiliser, chemicals. But essentially that's,
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of trees, we spent about 30,000 on tree purchases, if that's the direct question, and that excludes though the trees that we buy for developers under their planning requirements. But our spend on our trees is about 30 grand a year. The remainder of that amount made up of all those items that John mentioned.
I just had 3 questions on the long-term financial plan. On page 251, there seems to be quite a substantial drop-off in our operating performance ratio and debt service cover ratio over time. And I wondered if that was maybe because the figures are so far in advance we can't really take them seriously, or if there was concerns about that particular financial vital sign.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for that question as well, Councillor Peterson. So, look, the main that ratio is about council managing its expenses to pay, you know, managing its expenses from its own finances, from its own revenue, essentially. We've had some good years in the past few years. I also want to note that the percentage, the graph looks like it's a serious decline there. But note the Office of Local Government themselves use a benchmark of 0. So we've always, and we still will maintain our ratio above 0 for that metric. Now, the second point I wanted to make is that expenses generally are going up faster than revenues. We've not factored in any rate increases other than our normal indexation, which is part of that IPART calculation. Many councils are having to go down the special rate variation route, something that we want to avoid at all costs. We're acutely aware that the community is already experiencing significant cost of living pressures themselves, just as we do as council. We've also been very conservative in our operational grants and the expected uplift, particularly the financial assistance grants. So we haven't included it in the 25. We have not. We've been very conservative in our calculation for that. Probably the main reason is noting that the ratio excludes capital grants, includes operational grants. So the financial assistance grant is an operational grant and contribution, and ideally we would like to see this increase to help us pay for our expenses. So I suppose what I'm saying is that we're always pressuring for a higher financial assistance grant metric. However, we are constrained by that, so we're just being conservative in what we may receive. So that has not, you look at it, follow across for the 10 years, that has not, perhaps gone up as other line items might have. And one other thing, your point is exactly right. The further we go out into the future, the certainty becomes less reliable. So generally we can assume confidence for the first 4 years. And then, there are a lot of variables and assumptions that we've got to take the further we go out. So, and that's why we will update this annually anyway. So it's a guide to help monitor us and manage as we go forwards.
On the balance sheet on page 259, I can see we've got quite a big drop in our liabilities from this year to next year, about $14 million, and I just wanted to know why that was.
Mr. Mayor, another very good question. So I'm glad you're paying attention. So it's good, and raising these questions because they are important. Those liabilities are essentially made up of contract liabilities. So that's where we've received a grant, but we haven't. It's not revenue. It has to get put into income in advance or grants advance or contract liability. So that sits in the liabilities bucket. Know that we have had quite a few projects on the go in the last few years. They are drying up. So those liabilities can convert it into revenue, but they don't get replaced. So there's a drop off in liability there. Namely there's Sudden Feeder Road, the Sporting Precinct and the Conservatory and Planetarium. They're all ones that when we get the money, we have to put it, defer it into a future year, which becomes a contract liability. We owe it and technically until we've actually spent it. If we don't spend it, we breach the contract, we have to pay it back. So those ones all drop off. So that's largely explains why those liabilities decrease. And then the other thing is we are paying some of our external loans back. Internal loans don't appear in the budget because they're consolidated. So the one we know, we talked about the Conservatory and Planetarium, here in the consolidated line. Those two factors will continue that drop off.
Only other question I had on the income statement on 258, just in our a net gain from disposal of assets. Like we got $1.7 million from a disposal of asset. And I just...
Oh, Mr. Chair, I think, was that mine, John? The 1.3 million in asset disposal? Yeah, look, I should have paid attention to this question. It's a netting between sale of properties. I'll have to take it on notice. It's a netting between a loss of 2.5 and a gain of 1.2 to do with selling properties. And did you get it to the bottom of that one?
I can probably expand a little bit more on that one. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So essentially, it is made up of those two line items. Normally, we'll have a gain and a loss. They've been netted off, so we've had a gain of about 1.2 million. We will come back and confirm what that is because I'm not sure. I'll come back and confirm that. There's a loss of 2.5 million. Essentially, the loss comes about because, and again, I think it's probably a function of perhaps duplicating the assets held for sale and also in the revalued assets as well. So it might have been in two buckets. So you have this revaluation that keeps going up. It may have been included into assets held for sale. It's an item, it was a matter that was raised by the auditors last year. We suspect them, and a lot of it was cleaned up effectively by the adjustments before the accounts got approved. We suspect that there may be some further to go. So we're just being very, very conservative, and it may not happen, but we're just being cautious about that.
Thank you. Yes.
Final other comment I'd say is on page 96, we've got the projected general fund in a balance today, marvellous, in deficit for the next 3 years. Appreciate that these, there's only so much we can get into these figures at this time, but I think there's probably every chance Table would be interested in balanced budgets into the future. So I guess forewarning that may well come up again budget and time next year. Thanks very much for those questions.
And the good news is that we've gone from a balanced budget to a profit of 10,000. Any further questions? Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a comment, and that's actually on the same table that Councillor Peterson was just talking about on page 96. With the proposed deficits for the next 3 years. I actually did appreciate the way it's been noted. The deficit projections show the work that will need to be done to either gain increased grant funding or reduce service levels. I was glad that was noted that way, so that we can. Doesn't mean it has to be a deficit. Just got to work hard to make sure it isn't. Thank you.
CFO.
And further to Councillor Kinghorn's comments, we started about that position this year when we started the draft. Before you saw the draft, we started about there. So it'll be a similar amount of work next year.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And so on.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I just wanted to make a comment on the DPOP on page. First comment's on page 142, second one's page 143. It's great that we've got actually now budget to implement the urban forest strategy that we adopted last term of council. I think that's fantastic that we can really start to roll that out, because with a very healthy and established and developed enhanced urban forest, we can improve mental health outcomes in general, reduce, energy requirements for heating and cooling, all those amazing things, and just enhance our beautiful colour city aspect. So I think that's fantastic. I'm glad we saw that in there. The other thing I did want to note, which is on page 143, activity 2.1.3, develop and maintain aquatic programs that address the diverse needs of our community. I wanted to do a shout out. I think this seems to have gone a little bit under the radar somewhat. Council has been applauded, I suppose, in the state swimming community for the collaboration with the Orange Aquatic Club and the success of that partnership, and that collaboration ensuring the usage of the lanes, the times, the programs themselves. There's actually a great focus piece here on how to sort of copy what was done here in Orange for other clubs across the state. So I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to the Aquatic Centre staff, because that's a huge thing, I think, making it a benchmark that other clubs and other towns can imitate, can copy.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, a couple of things from me. The first one, small but important, and this is actually, no, before I go to specific things, I wanted to begin by acknowledging and thanking the staff for the massive amount of work that goes into preparing the integrated planning and reporting suite of documents, particularly in the first term of the council. The community strategic plan was a massive amount of community engagement, consultation, opportunity for people to have their say, and then all of the preparation of not only the CSP but all of the documents that sit under it. I know we get it and have to read through hundreds of pages in a few days to get our heads around it, although there is the exhibition period as well. But it is, I know, a huge amount of work to get it done. We have to get it done in this time frame because it's got to be passed by the 30th of June. So I appreciate that. The couple of specific things I wanted to ask about, as I said, the first one is small but important, and it relates to both page 106, which is in the community strategic plan of our papers, and also page 134, which is in the delivery program and operational plan. Both of them, Garnabulla is spelled with a double L. Could we please correct respectfully the spelling to have a single L in the published version that is going to go online? So that's just a request for correction. The other issue that I then wanted to say a little about, and it probably won't come as a massive surprise to many people in the room, is to talk a little bit about housing. I note that in the delivery program and operational plan, after the exhibition period, we still only have one item relating to housing. That's 5.2.1 in the delivery program, and the one item in the operational plan attached to it, which is continued development of the Landcom affordable housing project. Just bear with me as I work through what I wanted to comment on. I did want to note survey responses, page 479, showed that 78.9% of respondents agreed that council should continue to focus on housing affordability, and only 12.2% said no. And I will then note that in addition to that information, I made a submission, which is submission 34 in the papers, beginning on page 649, which did note a bit of a history, which I have gone through in closed session in a meeting before, of resolutions of the previous council to do policy work, the mini budget that was adopted back in November 2022, items that were in the delivery program and operational plan in past years, but that were never completed in that time frame, and that were now noted that they will be progressed in the next term. They're not in the delivery program or operational plan at this point. They arguably do sit under 5.2.1 in the delivery program. I did ask in my submission if that nothing was being added in for the current year, whether clarity could be provided about the planned timeframes. I did note that that's something I've requested a report on 2 times, at the 19th of March 2024 meeting and at the 18th of March 2025 meeting. I would like to ask at this point, can I please get an indication of a time frame for when we will receive a report about how we're going to deliver all of those housing policy items?
I'll have to take that on notice with no director here tonight. But
thank you.
Yep, take that on notice. Yep.
I'm aware of that and happy with that. Apart from that, want to thank staff. I did ask some questions to make sure I was getting my head around things while the budget was and other documents were on exhibition as well. So thanks to the staff who provided assistance with answering those questions. I'm really pleased to see, and I thank the speakers who came and spoke about Rainbow Festival in particular, but very pleased to see a number of items about the importance of inclusive events, and noting on page 478 the massively positive survey response as well to council needing to address the lack of community connectivity and provide community events, support for disadvantaged, and a focus on inclusivity and equality, that it should be a priority. 93.5% say yes. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to support all of the documents being adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Councillors, go to item part 7. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by...
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I've got a printed copy that's got 2 lots of 6s. Just to clarify, we're talking about item 7, which would be that the councillor allowance and so on.
I'm speaking about, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
I can't move and second.
I second it. Yep.
The Mallard.
Knew what you meant.
I was just having a look. I got 6 and 7 where the CEO's got 2 6s. It's okay if you're playing, whatever. But
Craps.
Any discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have this every year, and everyone says how hard they work, and they do, and that's fine. But again, this adds up to $12,000. We're asking the community to tighten their belts, and I think it would be a good gesture for us to do the same. So I'm actually going to vote against this every year.
Thanks, Councillor. Any further discussion? Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I've got to agree with Councillor Kinghorn in this situation here. I normally do vote for this nearly every year. Otherwise, this time, but our ratepayers and residents are saying, "Hang on, we're doing it tough. We've got the energy prices and all that stuff's been going through the roof and all these type of things and pressures. So why should we be getting an increase when they're coughing up more?" So I'm going to vote against it as well.
Councillor Peterson.
Thank you. And look, I accept there's differences of opinions that come from quite a logical point of view. I do like in the past how we all agreed that setting remuneration shouldn't be up to us, and I can see that feedback actually made it in to the tribunal as such and paid 97. However, personal view is, council's under budget pressure. This is a chance for us to actually lead the way and sort of walk the talk in terms of, rather than leaving it only up to council staff to do an efficiency dividend, this is the way we can contribute ourselves. So we'll vote against it.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, we like to bandy about equality and diversity, and this is one of those things that not all of us are in a privileged financial position around this table. I'm a single parent. Okay, it's just $12,000.
Can we not judge people, Councillor, and just stick to the facts, please?
I am.
Thank you.
They are facts. Now I've completely lost my train of thought. Look, essentially, we get paid a pittance as it is. I agree with Councillor Peterson, and I always have. I don't think we should be voting for our own pay increases. I think it's kind of a stinky thing, but it's part and parcel of local government in New South Wales. Compared to, say, Queensland, we get the crumbs at the end of the banquet. So I sort of wonder whether it's a bit of grandstanding for in some cases, maybe, but we want to have true diversity around this table and supporting every aspect of our community. We need to actually make sure that the remuneration is at least as good as it can possibly be. And yeah, everyone's doing it tight. Everyone's doing it tight. Like, I get that. I get it's a bit of an on-the-nose thing too, but I do. I work bloody hard for this. So, and I love what I do, but I think it's a bit ridiculous saying that everyone's doing it tight, so we should suck it.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'll be supporting this because there are those members at this table, and for the future, when we want to attract councillors to sit on this council, we need to be able to remunerate them. And for those councillors who vote against it, they are entitled to donate they don't have to take the uplift. Donate it, they can not take it. So I think, rightly so.
Are you moving a motion, Councillor?
Is that part of your motion, Councillor?
I was just going to ask
I'll
you.
second that.
Can I just have a point of order there?
Can I finish, right?
Could I have a point of order though?
No, you can't. I'll just let him finish speaking, and then you can have your point of order if that's okay, Councillor.
I know how to move amendments, Councillor Duffy. I'm just making a point that
What's
they
the
are
priority?
entitled, those councillors who vote against it are entitled to do as they will with their uplift.
Thank you. Your point of order, councillor.
Okay, sorry, my understanding was a point of order takes precedence over other things, so forgive my misunderstanding that.
Misunderstand it.
Thank you. I have spoken to the CEO about this when I first came on council, and you do not have a choice about having the increase. There is no choice. Everybody has to get paid the same. So Councillor Wynne is incorrect in that regard. Thank you.
You can choose to donate it to whomever you wish to.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Councillor Greenouch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm going to support this. Everyone is doing it tight, and I, like everyone else, still have to pay my increased rates. So, yeah, I'll be voting for it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Being no further discussion, I'll put the motion and show of hands for. Those against? 3 against. Thank you. Well, motion is passed.
And the budget is...
And the budget is adopted, so well done to all involved. Thank you very much for your patience.
Yes, well done, staff.
The councillors go to item 5.4, responses to questions taken on notice. There's a recommendation on page 655. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Whitten.
Okay.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just a bit of a correction, I suppose, page 655, with the noting of Councillor Ruddy's question taken on notice. It should be that it should actually read 131 women had been killed because impacted by acts of violence. I mean, that's you're talking thousands of women and children. So
fatally impacted.
Yeah, maybe had been fatally impacted since. Yeah, I think the wording there needs to actually reflect what. Yeah, exactly. So it's far more than 131 women since January 2024 have been impacted by acts of violence. So I think that needs to be corrected.
So can I just, to clarify, you're disagreeing with Councillor Ruddy's words? Is that
no? I'm disagreeing with the recording of Councillor Ruddy's words.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I would beg
confused.
to differ. They are Councillor Ruddy's words
Oh,
that were provided to Janessa Constantine,
okay.
Mr. Chair.
My apologies.
You don't have to apologise to me. You can apologise to the councillor.
Because it's one sentence of a whole couple of minute speech, it's probably just
taken a bit out of context. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 5.5, extension of lease Spring Creek Dam, Kinross Woolloorai. There's a recommendation on page 657. Councillors, can I
Move the
move and second?
recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? Councillor Whitten.
Only, Mr. Mayor, that I was here 20 years ago when we first debated this particular subject, and it was contentious at the time. But Kinross have proven to the community that they are a great corporate citizen, and they do a lot of work to maintain and improve that site. So, done a wonderful job.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, yeah, absolutely happy to support this. As an ex-student, I remember the days of Kinross when it was footy or it was hockey, and that was kind of it. And what Kinross has done with their rowing program is just absolutely amazing, as well as their stewardship and the work that they've done actually environmentally wise. So I'm more than happy. They've definitely shown themselves to be good tenants.
Excellent. Totally agree. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, happy to support this, noting this is going out on public exhibition, so anyone who wants to comment is going to be able to comment on it. But I want to thank Mr. Watt for coming and speaking, and also the report that was provided, everything it documents about observations of rare bird life and other things at the site, particularly with it being opened up now for fishing. I appreciated the information about the sort of the role that Kinross see that they can play in terms of monitoring and stewardship, although noting that there is also supposed to be compliance activity going on at the site as well, which I hope will be resourced adequately, as I've asked about previously. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Councillor Greenouch.
I'm very happy to support this motion. I think it's great that we've got the opportunity to do this locally, and I'd also like to wish the 13 students heading over to London all the best of luck, and thank you for what you do to maintain our environment out there.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, we go to item 5.6, policy review, proposed new event support mechanism.
The recommendation.
Event underwriting is a recommendation on page 699, moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Duffy. Any discussion? Councillor Peterson.
I'm happy to support the resolution. I just wanted to understand a bit more what the underwriting support, just concerned it might expose council to these undefined financial risks. I want to know who decides if council provides the underwriting to a particular event, and is that staff that decide in an operational capacity, or do councillors vote on whether it's an event we want to have a punt on?
I'll ask the Director to respond.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Similar to the small donations program and the events sponsorship programs, the decisions will be made within the chamber. We'll present it through to you. And to the question about financial risk with this one, the same with those two policies. There's a cap of $30,000 per event on this, and an overall budget that we would be advising you on at each paper about how we were tracking with that budget. Noting the difference for this one is that it's an at-risk policy. So if that particular event, if we said it was to be 20 or 30,000 that we'd underwrite and they got the ticket sales, then we would pay no dollars.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just jump in? I don't know how to do this, but I've just looked up what I said on that night, and I actually said since January this year, 131 women in Australia have been killed in acts of violence. I've got it written here.
Thank you, Councillor. The Chief Executive Officer will now advise Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by closed meeting of Orange City Council.
Mr Chair, there have been no such submissions.
Thank you. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of kind as referred to in section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential session of Council closed meeting to press and public. Item 6.1, contract retail gas supply agreement. 6.2, tenders for concrete civil works are classified confidential under the provisions of section 10A2C, information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage of persons with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. 6.3, Regions Rising National Summit. Re-image the future of regional Australia nominations for council attendance is classified confidential under the provisions of section 10A2F, matters affecting the security of council, councillors, council staff or council property. 6.4, submission redaction report for the 3rd of June 2025 is classified confidential under the provision of section 10A2E, information that would, if disclosed, prejudice the maintenance of law. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor Judge.